That is not something you want to mess with. I mean, if I had a choice right now, I'd rather be exposed to mold. I don't think there's any going back once you've really had a big exposure.
Hi, we're Art and Bree. 4 years ago, we left the city to buy a 100-year-old farm to turn it into our own productive homestead where we can grow our own food, build a healthy life, and raise our kids just how we like. If you want to join us in our homesteading adventure on our small farm, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
This top layer is pretty new. It should be okay. I want to test the next layer under it, which is this one. And the one I'm most worried about is this under layer right here. So there's my lowest layer. And here's my middle layer sample. I said this could make us or break us, and on one hand that's an exaggeration. On the other hand it's not. As far as financially goes, it's just asbestos removal is insanely expensive. This actually scares me more than anything else. All the mold, all the work, all the cost, this thing is like the biggest unknown to me, and it kind of freaks me out. So I'll be anxiously awaiting getting these results back, because if there's asbestos in all this space, it adds a huge, huge layer of complexity and danger, but it mostly comes down to cost because we'll be hiring someone to do that job. Things are getting steamy this morning out here. The buck is going wild. This is just what he's been waiting for.
Yeah, he just bred Nourishing. She's the white goat, the white alpine. Moonlight is interested. She's the younger goat. She is young, but she is old enough and heavy enough. You may be wondering why we're breeding our alpines if we're not planning to keep alpine goats. And it's because they're easier to sell when they're bred, and a lot of people want bred goats whenever they first buy them.
He's such a weirdo.
Bucks are funny. And Ferdinand's funny. He's just like so interested in what's going on.
Oh, is he?
Look at him. He's watching the whole thing. Ferdinand, privacy.
All right, stinky face.
Norma Jean, gonna have some babies. But Monica, this is Monica, she is not interested. If you have a buck around, it's very easy to tell when your goats are in heat, because they'll be interested in the buck. But if they're not in heat, they will be not even remotely interested in the buck and run away from him if he tries to advance on them.
Are you getting the cow? Bria and I were talking, the cow just kind of wandered off into the yard. That's fine, just leave her. As long as she's down there, yeah. I'm good. You remember that guy who we had come out and look at our house and do some bids for us and talk to us about what it would take to get the mold out of it?
The first one?
Yeah. He used to do asbestos remediation, and he actually said he got out of it because it was so expensive to even run a company and do it. He was charging people massive prices, and he was not making very much profit because it's so, like, there's so many fees. Anyway, I'm just worried about the asbestos, because if it is asbestos, like, the legal and safest thing to do is have someone come in. I don't think you can even legally do it yourself.
In some states you can. I don't know about North Carolina.
I'm pretty sure you can't. I'll read about it more, but everything I've read says you have to have someone come out, and that would be like a massive expense.
I think it's $30,000.
I think that's high, but it's like, it just depends. So right currently, the areas that we possibly have it are the ceilings of 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms and the floor of 1 room. So it's like 5 big surfaces if we do have it.
You sent out a test, right?
Yep, I sent the test results. Should get them soon. Everybody acts different when the rut is on. All the tails are high. That's not normal. That means they're in heat or they were just bred. He's acting like a goofball constantly. And even the weather is trying to get in on it and mounting, but he can't do anything. But I think she's not been bred yet, and she keeps walking away from him, so she's probably not ready yet. So that's what's going on around here. What's going on at your place? I don't want to be as dramatic as saying like it could make us or break us, but because it won't break us, like we'll get through it if it comes back positive, but it could be like a multiple tens percentage portion of the job. It's something that you can deal with in these old houses, and the thing is, when we bought it, a lot of it was actually buried under drop ceilings, under newer paneling, and then buried under, like in the kitchen floor, is buried under multiple layers of floor. It's not been exposed this whole time, and then the areas that have been exposed have been painted, so I think we've been pretty safe from it. Even though asbestosis, like the disease you get from asbestos, is different than COPD, it's similar in its inflammatory nature. It's a similar disease. It has a lot of the same characteristics, and that's like a terrible, terrible thing. It's been on my mind the whole time, and then since I sent the test, I've been thinking about it constantly. I don't drop bombs on you like that without warning you. You like don't even know what to say.
Well, no, I mean, we've always kind of guessed that it was there, but...
What are y'all doing in here?
We are just moving these chicks, I mean, they're pullets now, out to the coop, so they can get used to being there. And then we'll free range them a little.
Are you clipping their wings as you take them out, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, I'm about to clip their wings. We're just getting them in this. Yeah, maybe I should do that right now. Oh. Hey, Grace, after you get that one in, go grab the scissors. Hold on, we're not going to get another one. Yeah, I was thinking backwards on that.
You could do it either now or when you bring them down.
They are so pretty. I don't look at these chickens much because Joyful takes care of them. So I haven't had a good look at them in a while. You guys are pretty. And the roosters we're going to butcher and see how they are for meat. These are speckled Sussex, and my plan was to do a little experiment with them to see if they would raise out as good meat birds and good egg layers. And I'm still working on that. In a few weeks, we'll butcher our extra roosters from this batch and see how the meat is, and kind of see how long it took them to grow out, and if they're worth growing as meat egg layers, or meat as dual purpose birds. So we'll see. It may be that we switch to a different breed, or just do the plain old regular thing where you just buy meat birds every year. But over time, I'd like to get our farm a little more sustainable, where we're kind of doing full circle, not having to buy everything. So gentle, only go with them. Okay, let me show you where to do it. Don't go down on these feathers, just these long ones, okay? At the very base.
Okay, right here?
Yep. Good job.
The idea is we would actually encourage them to set next year, rather than kind of putting up with it.
Or breaking them from it, yeah. But we'll see. I mean, we may decide the meat's not worth it.
Brighton's being a big helper.
Heck yeah, man. 4-year-olds can have real jobs. Hold on, buddy, and I'll get you out, okay?
You got them all?
Release the boards.
Release the birds!
The thing to hold them.
Why do you got them acorns?
Chickens won't eat acorns,
They
probably.
won't, but that's so sweet. Pigs will eat them. We should give them to the pigs.
All right, no more. Okay.
Release the birds!
This will be their first time outside.
Yeah.
We should slip out of here and so they stay in here a while.
Yeah, we can go out. I love that with chickens, they just tell you what they think. And when they're happy, it's so easy to know. They just chirp, 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 chirp. And those little chicks are very happy. Eventually, the little guys will come out of the coop, down into the run. There'll probably be 10 seconds of skirmish while they figure out pecking order, and then it'll be over, and everyone will be happy. Speaking of happy chickens, look at these guys. They're loving their new mulch.
What I was wondering as I put mulch in here is how chickens know what mushrooms they can eat. Because there's this wood chip pile is loaded with mushrooms, and they're going through and eating the mushrooms. And it's like, can they get poisoned by poison mushrooms?
I mean, instinctually, usually animals do know the difference between toxic and non-toxic. But with chickens, like, their eyes are so sharp. You know what I mean? They're able to see the tiniest little bit of grain, the tiniest little bug, the tiniest little tick. So I wonder if that has something to do with their ability to tell the difference.
I don't think they can tell the difference. I think they just eat it all and mostly they survive.
All I know is that they look so happy in there. The young pullets will make their way out. We'll keep everyone locked in here for probably 5 days. That's why we put down new wood chips. And then maybe even a week. And then once we know that the pullets know where home is, they'll get to free range part of the day.
He opened the gate. The bull was looking for the cow. He's like, where did she go? And he actually pushed that sliding door open. She's outside, we're letting her in right now, you missed her. So he's right here looking for her, but he's just too impatient. She's actually up there, inside the pasture. Grace, that bread dough looks amazing. Is that your sourdough bread? Yeah. So that's your first batch of bread. Really yeah, it looks like a legit dough.
It
so
looks like dough.
Did it rise?
Are you really gonna make crescent rolls? Wow.
Guess what it tastes like?
Ambitious.
It tastes like sourdough. It tastes different from normal bread dough because it's sourdough. Oh, don't be grumpy. You're gonna have somebody.
Sissy is very generous. Don't be fussy. No, everyone give her a little space to cook.
What does that taste like, guys?
Sourdough.
Sourdough. Yeah. Yummy, huh? Okay, I need to feed the animals and check in on the buck's exploits happening out in the pasture. But really fast, I'm gonna show you 2 fermenting projects I've done in the past few weeks to put up some extra cabbage, and then one was just an experiment. This is my first sauerkraut batch in a crock. I'm using a plastic bag as a weight, and that brine is almost overflowing, so it's perfect. We just did that a few days ago. And then the other one's actually right in my bedroom where I can keep a close eye on it. This is a kale kraut. Again, I used a plastic bag as a weight on this ferment. I'm actually gonna put a regular lid on this and put it in the fridge because it turned out so good. This is just chopped kale from the garden, salt, and a ton of Chinese pepper flakes.
Chinese pepper flakes?
It's salty, it's tangy, it's spicy.
Sour.
Really, really, really like it. Well, first we'll throw these cows some hay and then check on those goats. Well, the goats are gonna come to the hay. How's it going down here? What's happening? It's pretty quiet out here on the northern front. There's a little tension in the air still. The younger goats are trying to mount each other, and that's not a normal thing. That's just like, I think it's a function of how that buck smells, and everyone's kind of caught the, you know, gotten caught up in the mood or something.
This is what I mean by space issues in the camper. There's just so many projects happening at once, so we just make do with space. So we have some homemade mac and cheese. We've got 2 different kinds of apple crisp going. Grace made sourdough croissants with her first ever wild-caught sourdough starter, and they turned out beautiful. She did a beautiful job. I'm so proud of her. So this is what I'm excited about getting to not have to do anymore. I'm excited about having space to spread out for everyone to be cooking their thing. Thankfully, I'm going to cook this apple crisp at my friend's house. But I'm making one with maple syrup for a friend that can't have sugar, and then one with sugar.
You've made a terrible mess in here, Brianna.
I better clean it up.
You better get to work.
I better get to work. But even though this frustrates me, when it's all said and done, I will be so glad I made all this good food. Because it's fun and, oh, what a mess. It's fun and satisfying to make food and share food and stuff. And, you know, get to be a part of that. So I could just give up and say, I'm not bringing anything, or I'll just go buy chicken from the store, which is fine to do that. But I take more joy out of actually cooking food homemade, fresh, and then bringing it along.
Hey, Bree.
Yeah.
So that company just called me and they emailed me the asbestos results.
Did you know it was going to happen today?
Well, he just called me.
But didn't you just smell it?
They're super fast.
What did he say?
He didn't tell me. He said they emailed me the results.
Did you get the email?
I haven't checked yet.
Do you know they were going to come today?
No, I didn't. No, I thought it would be next week.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
And I was tempted to ask him on the phone, like, what are they? But he was just like, I was like, well, we'll just check out an email. I'm kind of nervous, kind of not. It's kind of just like, we're just going to do what we have to do. Alright, here's the results. That's not the results. That's what I sent them. PLM bulk asbestos fiber analysis.
Those aren't the results.
Here's the results. Alright, so here we go. Sample 1 was the ceiling tile in the storage room, and that's non-detected 100% cellulose. There's no asbestos. Let's make sure we're reading it right.
I think you should call just like...
No, it's really clear. Sample 1
none detected.
Was the ceiling in the back room. Number 2 is the ceiling tile in the kitchen, and that's non-detected 100% cellulose. Number 3 is the floor kitchen tile, the middle layer that we tested, is 2% cellulose, 98 organic matrix, whatever that means. But there's no asbestos detected.
Sample 4 non-detected. Sample...
They may have, oh, I bet sample,
layers.
I bet they did, no, sample 4, I bet broke in half, and they tested both. Which, they charged me for that. But it's, but neither piece had asbestos. That's such good news.
I thought for sure there was asbestos in that house.
Now, there's probably other stuff I should test, but because I didn't test every single room of ceiling tile, but I tested every type of ceiling tile that I could visualize. So like, there's 2 types, and I tested the one type that I thought probably didn't have it, that was a newer, and then I tested the one that I was like, man, this looks like stuff I've seen that's asbestos before. And I tested that one. So there's still 2 rooms, but it's most likely they use that tile that matches is the same. But I should actually probably send those.
Let's test those just in case.
But I'm super relieved because the ceiling that I was like, if any of them has it, this is it. It was this really ugly, rough cellulose tile, which they put asbestos in those.
I'm just relieved. Oh, because I've read about it, and I've even asked. I asked that guy that first did our bid on our house, and the second guy. I mean, they were like, it's 20 to 30 grand to do it. Oh my gosh.
You know what most people do with asbestos, at least around here, when they're doing their home renovations, is they just, wear a mask, triple bag it, and put it in a dumpster, and no one ever knows about it. And I did that when I was a teenager on a job. And I don't know, I don't feel the best about it, but on the other hand, it was a super stable material. It was concrete siding tiles. But it's like a lot of people just do that when they're faced with the cost. I mean, if you're doing a renovation on your house and it's going to cost 20 grand to have a company come do something, and you can do it like in 2 days, it's so tempting to do that, but I wouldn't want to do that. Well, that's great news. I'm super happy.
I feel like I'm gonna have a skip in my step today. How about you?
Yeah, I've been really worried about this.
I have to.
There are so many unknowns in a job like what we're doing. It's just the nature of this type of work and working with a house this old. But this is one unknown that's no longer an unknown, and it was a really, really big unknown. Yeah. I mean, you're gonna get into the house and run into rotten wood. You're gonna run into rotten studs. You might have termites. All these those things are little. The termites here are little. And there's you can treat, you can tear out rotten wood, you can replace it. But compared to tearing out even like a whole bandboard around a house or just a ton of rotten wood, a proper asbestos remediation is way bigger than any of those.
I feel really. Woo. Hallelujah. I'm so thankful.
Me too.
I'm drawing a little village.
But there's a lot of companies that also never put asbestos in their products. So thank God for those companies. They never ever. These tiles, all the materials in there are old enough that they were still selling them with asbestos. But there are a lot of companies that never used it.
Yeah.
I still have a whole
Thank goodness.
Guys, thanks for joining us. This is the end of our video. We'll see you in tomorrow's video. What a relief and a blessing that there's no asbestos in our house. So happy.
So good.
All right, see you then. Bye-bye.
What's a leaf asbestos?
Asbestos.
Asbestos is like a,
You know, this is all the
it's a mineral that they've been mining for thousands of years and putting in stuff, and it's fire retardant, and they use it in all sorts of products. And we tested our house for it. I told some of you all this, but we tested our house for it. It's something that can kill you if you tear it up, and it costs thousands of dollars to get out of your house. And the test came back today. There's no asbestos in any of those materials that I sent. So I can just tear them out now.